All right, so this is session 1 of 2, and we're playing Masks, the new generation, because there's already another Mask game, and so they have the subtitle that way. Anyway, so this is a PBTA game, but we're playing it with the Rotted Capes sort of setting, the zombie aftermath setting, which is also built from the X-Heroes series of novels. It very much takes from those. And so I'm borrowing liberally from that those set of sources. So we are young heroes in a zombie aftermath. There's an enclave. There are some adult heroes. There are survivors. And the young heroes are kind of told to, stay safe and not do anything and not get involved. And there's strong fear among the survivors because the zombie plague, the outbreak that has devastated the world, was started by a super. And supers can become zombies, and they become smart zombies. So they're real dangerous things out there. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. So we are using the X card. And I think everybody here is familiar with that. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. But for those of you at home, again, if we hit problematic material, this is a zombie game. My tone level is not entirely gruesome, but we may get graphic. But I just want to make sure that people know that we can X card on that. The tone is not grimdark. There's still hope, but it's a desperate place. It is a post-apocalyptic game in some ways, but your heroes within that. So the situation is dark. It's not like Marvel Zombies, if anyone has read that series from Marvel, which is entirely nihilistic and awful and terrible. The zombies are out there. You've managed to save people, and now you're trying to survive and live and be teenagers in this horrible place. So let us talk about tone and so on. Is there anything that anybody wants to say about that? Things you want definitely on the table or definitely off the table for the game?
I designed my character to be a little bit Gonzo Silver Agey.
Okay.
So I'm happy to have that in the game, although in my way of thinking, that's in the past. Like, there was a Gonzo Silver Agey time, but we are now in the zombie post-apocalyptic time. It's not actually that way anymore, but the holdovers are still there.
I like that. That's a really good idea, especially because the way Halcyon is presented in Masks is a little more Silver Agey than anything. So that's great. Anything anybody else wants definitely on or definitely off the table? All right. I'm not hearing anything, so we're going to go ahead and do sort of character introductions, and then we're going to roll through. Generally for the play, we're going to stop at a midpoint for a bio break. That'll probably be after we've got character and setup situations done, and I throw you into something. For those of you watching at home, we are playing on Roll20, so there's a set of visual information you're not getting because I'm not recording that as a separate feed because that's like a lot of work, so I'm not doing that. So right now, we're going to start with Mr. Bear. Mr. Bear, please tell us about yourself.
Sure. Mr. Bear is from the Transformed playbook. In this particular case, the character used to be a roller coaster warrior and layabout. He was just kind of a dude who liked to party. And he went to try out this theme park, which was supposed to have the ultimate immersive experience. And it turned out that the supervillain who was running it, who I called Dr. Dreammaker, was actually taking people and then putting them into the attractions, and that's what made it immersive. So you had people that were trapped into the robotic shows and into the roller coasters, and, it was pretty horrible. And when the heroes busted it up and put everyone back in their bodies, his body wasn't actually there. So now he is this roller coaster warrior that's stuck in a giant cyborg bear. It is both organic and robotic. He also has to accept the fact that he may never have actually existed, and he may be a program personality, and that's why there wasn't a body. It's just kind of horrible for him. The bear is extremely strong and tough. It's got inhuman might and superhuman senses. In the background questions, there's someone outside the team who has to understand the body. In this case, there was a mechanic that Dr. Dreammaker had also abducted. named Jesse Wilcox, who feels a little guilty about getting his body back. He understands the mechanical components of Mr. Bear, kind of, but Dr. Dreammaker was kind of, so there's limits. People get freaked out because, he's got a little red bow tie and he's kind of cute and friendly, but at the same time horrifying and robotic. So Twisted Innocence is not exactly welcome when you're dealing with the zombie apocalypse. He's useful, but he's scary. And what he likes about the team is that they help him believe enough that he may actually be human or close enough to being human to keep him from going nuts.
So he was a teen when he was transformed.
Yep.
Okay. And was that not that long ago then?
Depends on how long ago the apocalypse was.
Okay.
I think that we can probably say within the past 3 years.
Okay. We put the timeline as Z-Day, sort of that outbreak, maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And so things have fallen and collapsed in that 6-month period. Okay. And Dr. Dreammaker, do we know what happened to him?
As far as I'm concerned, I think he probably got away because that's his thing. He sets up these kind of horror shows, and then the heroes try and get there, and then it turns out it's a robotic duplicate or something like that. So yeah, he's kind of a awful arcade kind of guy.
So let me ask you this then. In the wake of the zombie apocalypse, do we know what happened to Dr. Dreammaker?
Answer carefully.
Yeah, I think probably not. What he would probably try to do is to set up a zombie-themed kind of amusement park, whatnot. Zombie World. It's a great name. No one's used that before. But I think that currently nobody knows what's up with him.
Okay. And Wilcox, Jesse, is that a guy or a girl?
I left it ambiguous on purpose, and I think I'm going to say that it's the character is in fact ambiguous.
Okay. And is Jesse Wilcox then also in the compound, a survivor?
I think that makes sense. Otherwise, they don't come into play. So
awesome. All right. So they are on the ground. That's an important role, being a tech, that kind of thing. Now, the actual sort of robotic body, how much upkeep is required for that?
Well, it's partially organic, although whether the bear was grown in a lab or was a different bear is hard to say. The parts that are on it mostly just need upkeep if they get broken. Mr. Bear's tough, but there's wear and tear. They don't exactly require charges or anything like that. They work fairly independently. But if they get broken, Jesse's the one who can fix them.
So do you think Mr. Bear looks in good shape still, or is that starting to
I think
be
he looks a little patchy. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think that there's probably some parts where the mechanics are not melding as nicely to the flesh as they should. The flesh does heal, but it is just flesh. So, there's probably extra scars and patches.
So, Mr. Bear, what do you think? What does Mr. Bear think is going to happen if he gets bit by a zombie? I mean, that's flesh, right?
Yep. Mr. Bear is pretty sure he'd become even more horrifying. A horrible zombie robo bear. Okay.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. All right. Well, thank you for that terrifying bear, Mr. Bear. Appreciate that. I'm going to go on and go to Osteo. Osteo, could you please tell us about your character?
Sure. So Osteo is the Janus character class, which is kind of all about balancing suit life, and then also just the mundane life, and kind of figuring out how those work together and still keeping a secret identity. So the kid's name is James Miller. He's a teenage boy, pimply, quite lanky. Nerdy kid, kind of one of those people, had one good friend through, the schooling that they were doing before the apocalypse started, and that was really about it. Let's see, at this point, if I'm going on descriptions, he does wear a suit, but it's kind of a skin tight white and gray suit with like cutouts in a few different areas, because that's not really his costume. I mean, it's the bone armor that he extrudes from his body that comes out. I'd say that the look on that is generally, and around even teammates and everything, always has kind of a top, just top half of the face mask that's smooth, doesn't really look like much. The trick is that his power is conscious and unconscious, I'd say. So, he can consciously control it and make it look what he wants when he wants it. But if he has to, in the heat of the moment, call for armor, he does not have control of what it looks like. And the power itself kind of tends towards almost a gruesome skull-like mask and bone armor and everything. So he's got this real love-hate relationship with his powers of I mean, he looks like a villain straight up, when he's fighting. Let's see, I've got these questions here. I first put on the mask was the first question. It says, so I had a best friend when I was going through school named Cameron. He and I were kind of obsessed with supers, comic books and trading cards and all that stuff. And I guess I saw when I triggered, when my powers triggered, I saw it as an opportunity to be what I was looking up to, all those years, and be able to do that. Didn't turn out to be that way. It seems like everyone's, especially like, kids are scared of anytime they see this costume, the actual bone armor. Let's see. Next, why do I keep my secret identity? Again, I mentioned the bone generation, just the gruesomeness of the armor. It definitely is disturbing and frightening. I look more like a villain than a hero, and I feel like a monster, when I go all out. I really don't want that to be associated with my real identity. I think because I had a problem with it with Cameron, a best friend of mine, I showed him my powers when it first came. I thought it was exciting, cool, and I thought he was going to think the same. He didn't. It was scary. It was, he pretty much distanced himself from me. I became the loner that I was never hoping to be. I had this one best friend. We were thick as could be. And at this point, no friends. I see him around occasionally, and the looks he gives me make me uncomfortable. Let's see. One of the other questions was, who thinks the worst of your masked identity? I didn't come up with a name on this. So I wasn't sure if you had someone in mind, but I was thinking a savior, superior style super. That feels like I add more terror, than is good. I'm kind of just adding terror to the terror that already grips the population. I'm really on the team because it feels like the only place I belong right now. That's really it. And for the Janus class, I have to pick obligations, things that kind of tear me between cape life and mundane life. And the big one I put was cafeteria. I'm kind of assuming that there might be multiple, like food establishments that, cafeterias that have been set up throughout this thing with the population we have. And I think my mom runs one because she ran a restaurant, before the collapse. And so I spend a lot of time there preparing food, serving food, that kind of thing. And that's kind of my big tug of war.
So you've got a job there with your mom. We've established that Cameron is alive also in the compound.
Correct.
He kind of knows about you. He knows you're there, but he doesn't want to say anything. Your mom doesn't know?
No.
Okay.
No.
So this is an interesting question. You're in a situation after all of this has collapsed, and you're still keeping a secret identity even in this situation. What did it just kind of start that way, and then it kind of snowballed for you, or was it a very deliberate decision that even in the face of this, I'm not going to tell people who I am?
Sure. I think I think it became a habit. I think it started out after revealing myself to Cameron and the bad reaction that got, trying to keep those lives separate, scared of what my mom would think if she saw me, as this almost grotesque looking large skeleton that can change, shapes and do all sorts of gross things. So I think it's fear there. And I think being enough of the loner that I was, that has kind of become habit. So even with my teammates, I think I still try to keep that a distance, at least at this point.
Okay. And you said bone generation and mobility, right?
Impossible movement. Yeah. So what I'm
So
picturing.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think that a few different ideas that I had were, first of all, bone wings. I think that I can sprout wings that look like they look like ribs that just sprout from my back, flatten, and then come together as kind of these large wings, out to the side. So I can definitely do that. So flight is one of them. I think that if I'm dodging something, it's less me getting out of the way and more that body shape bending and changing at impossible angles, because why move when I can just bend my bones around it. I think the ability to lengthen bones, mimic, I could probably even mimic bone structures of animals, alter the bones in my body, and there's no reason I can't go down to all fours, I would think, and run like a cheetah, if I reform my bone structure enough on the fly.
Okay.
That type of thing.
Yeah, that's super creepy. And I can understand why people might be freaked out from that,
Right.
especially if there are zombies outside.
And he's just this mild-mannered loner kid. That's his
do
power.
you think? What do you think the origin of his powers are? Is it supernatural? Is it scientific? Is it mutation? What what is the actual? Where does he think it comes from?
Sure, I think he's assuming it's some type of supernatural thing. I mean, I guess, is it known in the world where other superheroes come from? And like it just in general, like, obviously we have mechanized, people like Mr. Bear coming about in specific ways, but is there any pattern to it that we know of in the world?
No, there's definitely the full gamut of different sources. The only thing that's off the table is sort of the extra dimensional and alien stuff. But yeah, there's definitely magic people.
Right. I'm not sure if if he really knows. I think he thinks it either could be a genetic mutation of some weird sort or something supernatural. Because all he knows is that I think he triggered when he was working for his mom at the old restaurant before the collapse, shortly before, and I think he was like reaching up. I mean, just like large shelvings with like hundreds of pounds of cans or something like that on it that then tipped over onto him. And I think without even thinking about it, he just manifested bone armor, which protected him from being smashed to bits.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I like that he doesn't know. That's sharp. All right, I'm going to move on from you, and I'm going to talk to Karma. Karma, can you please tell us about yourself?
Karma is the former drummer of the K-pop band Danger Dolls TT23 exclamation point. They were touring the U.S. when things went pear-shaped. Essentially, she's here, but only one of the other band members are. The other band members sort of fled trying to get to extended family that they had in the States. But Karma didn't have any, and Seraph was too sick to travel, so she ended up kind of joining up with this group of people. Let's see here. She has a fellow, she was created by her producer, essentially the Korean version of Mr. Showcase. And essentially what it was is there were lots of girls who auditioned, and they all had to sign papers, and then they were given serums, and some of them manifested. The whole thing was to have this sort of charismatic, superpowered pop band. And essentially Karma's physiology took well to this serum, and she is incredibly strong and can be pretty darn fast, but mostly it's all forward force. Seraph actually got sick from the serum, but she has a lovely singing voice, and she ended up being the best vocalist. So Showcase kept her on, and there's lots of stage stuff and things that went on to protect the thing that she was not a superhero. But Seraph and Karma kind of still keep it up that maybe she does have superpowers, so they can stay together. They're kind of really uncertain about what's going on and who's making decisions and what decisions are being made around here. So they kind of try to really stick together. Let's see. How did I escape from Mr. Showcase? Well, everything went pear-shaped. And so that's how we got away from him at that time, because he wasn't at the hotel when things went down. So we don't know when he'll show up. Again, I don't even know if he has superpowers. I just know that he had access to superpower serum. Let's see, who outside the team tries to take care of me? So I think that is Seraph. And what scares me most about the zombie plague? I think it's that I don't have any armor or anything that actually protects me from the way that they transmit the plague. And my superpowers mean that I typically come into contact with whatever I'm attacking. And why do I care about the team? Because they're kind of the only other weirdos like me. And so far, Mr. Bear is the only one who's explained to me part of what's going on.
How do you mention that language is a significant barrier for you, a modest barrier for you?
I think that it's easy for people to think that it's not a barrier because she speaks relatively well, if a little slowly. But her ability to follow what people are saying, particularly if they're speaking fast, is not as good as she would like it to be. She's getting better as time goes on. But it's hard because people speak an idiom, they're excited, they're pointing to things and speaking about locations, and she can't tell the difference between names and places and, you know, what's a word that's supposed to mean something and what's just, you know, a name or something like that. She's very trying to parse all the time when she's talking to people.
So what are the visible signs that of Seraph's illness?
She has, I think the easiest way to explain it is it's almost like she has one of those immune deficiency diseases like lupus. She just gets very, very tired and exhausted. She'll go through long periods like that, and then she'll be fine for a while. She doesn't like look particularly sick, but she just sort of has this malaise that comes over her.
So you're probably...
Because remember, she's still very lovely and all of those things, and she's looks perfectly wonderful on stage. But so it's not something that people can see easily.
So she's probably in the medical area right now, I would assume, in whatever hospital that they have.
Wow, we try to minimize that because we don't know if they'll take her away.
Okay.
Okay. We don't understand what exactly they're deciding things based on.
There's definitely a medical contingent, and there's also definitely a science contingent within the compound.
Yes, and essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you play an instrument?
I do. I'm a bassist.
Okay. That makes sense, given that you're the bowl, I would have to say. So
Exactly.
that would work. Okay. All right. I'm going to finish with you, and I'm going to move on to Garrett, who is Freak. Am I saying that correctly, how you want to have it pronounced?
I want to have it pronounced Frick.
Frick.
Because it's somehow related to fractal. Just written differently, so it doesn't look too obvious, right?
Sure.
Well, I'm a fractal being. I have been since I'm 10 years old, and it suddenly came over me. It must have been in my genes. I never learned who my real father was. Maybe it has something to do with my origin. In any case, I couldn't ask my mother anymore, because she was the person I killed. And since then, I'm pretty locked down. I'm a little bit older now, but haven't come over the effects yet. I'm the playbook Nova, and I have chosen the ability of biokinesis, and I interpret that I can grow stuff out of my body. It's fractals, obsidian fractals, and they come out of me and grow, and they can move by themselves, like constructs with the flare, which represents that. But they can also burst out of me in an explosion, these obsidian fractals. So my skin is obviously pretty dark, and my skin is inorganic. But I wear human clothing, so I have a black-yellow striped short trousers and a yellow T-shirt with Silver Surfer on the front. Because I was a fan, Silver Surfer, when I was younger. Otherwise, my skin is my costume. And this outfit was designed by my son. So all tribute to him. We did this together this afternoon.
Oh,
So yeah, when I woke up one day in my kids' room while I was sleeping, the whole room was full of fractals, like obsidian fractals all around. And my mother was dead, so that was a terrible beginning. So she was the person who did.
okay.
And since then, I live more by myself, and I chose the option that my influence, that I'm locked down. So I only have give influence to one other teammate. Haven't decided yet which
Okay.
one.
Yeah. We'll come to the influence in a sec.
Exactly. So, but there's one other person I care for about. It's Opsar. Opsar is a tree out of obsidian, which I once created. It's the only conscious being I have ever. Wouldn't dare to do so again. I also don't know exactly how I've done it, but it's an obsidian tree, and on its bark it can create symbols and pictures, and that's the way I can, in a meditative calmness, communicate with that being. And this tree is helping me to learn more how to control my powers. I continue using my powers because I see this is the best way to learn about them and how to control them, and not to have to leave human society as a whole, to keep them safe. And this team of superheroes is helping me with that, and I feel comfortable most with hanging around them as much as I can. Especially Mr. Bear, and is a very similar kind of being, I would say. So not a human anymore. I would say Osteo also has like some inhumane tendencies inside of himself. Yeah.
So let me ask you, one of the Nova backstory questions we have from the added on is, you're in a compound here, about 1,500 people in this compound here in Halcyon City. Why do you make the civilian authorities nervous? Why have some of them talked about containing or your powers, or using your powers for something else? What's that conversation like?
The obsidian crystals, it's not exactly explained what effect they have on the zombies. If they strengthen them, so at least the superpowered zombies, or if it changes them, but it has an effect on them. They react somehow strongly to obsidian fractals, like these little crystals. They get in touch with them. Yeah, it's not clear yet what kind of effect that is, and that makes them nervous.
So probably some that want to restrain you and some that want to study you.
Yeah, I could be an anti-vaccine, whatever.
Okay.
But it could also be the opposite.
Yeah, certain amount of fear there. Okay. Let me, now that we've got those characters on the table, I want to circle back again, and I want to do everyone's influence questions, get that established, and then I want to do sort of a modified version of the when you first met kind of set up thing. So, Mr. Bear, what are your influence questions?
Well, so we got the relationships first, which is slightly different. The relationship is someone comforted you when you were at your lowest. I should say Mr. Bear, even though he's a big growly monster, still talks like a teenage ride warrior. So there'll be a whole lot of dude and bogus and such like. So that'll be fun. But so who comforted him at the lowest? I'm gonna say Osteo. Osteo's got a sense of humor and is kind of human, so let's go with that. I like Osteo for that. And someone knew him before he changed. Now, the thing is, like I said, he's not entirely sure that he was ever human, but I'm going to say that he talked online with someone. So, I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to put it as karma, because I am going to say that he was a huge fan of her band. And so did he was like active on the boards and was really excited that they were coming. but so yeah, he was a fan before he was a giant bear, and he's still a fan now.
Let me ask you this. Have you told her that you were that super fan and now you're a bear, or is that something you keep quiet?
No, she totally knows.
Okay.
They're like, no, I'm Alex Sweeney. It was me. So yeah. No, he was very excited. He's thrilled to be locked in a zombie apocalypse with his with the bassist, which was naturally his favorite anyway.
Okay.
So, and then the influence is you try not to care what other people think, even if you can't shut everyone out. Give influence to one teammate. Oh man. I would have presumed it was to everyone. All right, let's say. Yeah, I'm going to throw that to Osteo, honestly, as the most human in terms of behavior, even though he turns into a freaky bone monster.
That makes sense. All right, and that's the only influence one you have, right?
That is correct.
Okay, Osteo, let's do your relationships and your influence questions.
Okay. So I think one of them is that somebody knew me from my civilian life first. And of course, this is someone that knows, may have known who James Miller is, but doesn't know that that's the same person as Osteo. I actually have to go right back to Mr. Bear on this. I think that may be why I comforted you the way I did. Maybe you were one of the few people that was nice to me. Maybe we went to school or something together. You were occasionally, just like not a friend or anything, but at least you weren't a jerk to me. So, so I think I was there for you because
back in my Alex
you knew
Sweeney
me.
days.
Yes, yeah, you knew me
Nice.
back then as a civilian, as James. Let's see, number 2. Let's see. Oh, I refused to tell someone my secret identity when they asked. This one has to be Freck. I think, and you have to tell me if this sounds okay, Freck. I think you might have seen some type of like kinship in our powers, like the way that you extrude kind of fractal obsidian, the way that I extrude. I mean, sometimes I think my bone might remind you of that type of fractal, something coming out of me, that kind of thing. And I think it may have been like, you're like, hey, well, you see me without any kind of mask. Of course, your obsidian is your, mask. But you're like, so why can't I know who you are? And I think I just wasn't okay with that. I think that I was like, no, not. I don't feel comfortable with that. I have to separate those two.
Yeah. That hurt.
That worked? Okay.
Yeah. Works and it hurt.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Who knows? Maybe at some point. Okay, and influence. All right, you look up to your teammates. They seem to have this superhero thing figured out. Give 2 of them influence over you. I think one of those influence goes to Karma. I think I'm kind of intimidated and just like, just someone that seems to have things together in general, much more so than a, nerdy teenager. So there's one, and then another influence. I'm thinking Freck, because just is what he is and is this obsidian person, and I think I kind of wish that I could be that way. It kind of hurt me to not be able to tell you who I was, but it's but I couldn't. Yeah, so I think you've got influence over me, Freck.
So one of the things I like about the way you've situated this, I'm sure Jason's already got this, and is that that Alex Sweeney is a real person, but because of your secret identity, you can't tell him that.
Exactly.
Nice.
You got it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
I love it. All right. Let's come to the bull. Let's get your relationships and then your influence. You're muted.
This is a very confusing world. I do not understand how the Alex Sweeney on my message board is the Mr. Bear who has a very peculiar smell that is particularly but anyway, I have great fondness for Mr. Bear because he's the one kind of person who's here who has some continuity with what's been going on in my life. So I will say he's my love because, again, like clinging to the rock. And so he's gotten to hear some of the things about the worst parts of the past, like how the band was put together and that it was, though the girls were close, it was not a fun experience all the time at all, maybe ever.
All right.
Okay. And I think, now I'm trying to think, someone is my rival. I almost think, this is weird, but I wonder if it's actually Osteo because he's Mr. Bear's other good friend and I don't understand the relationship. And I don't understand. I'm very confused about how I feel about all of this. It's not that I dislike anything about Osteo except that he seems to be just as close to Mr. Bear as I am, and I don't understand what that means to me.
I like it.
Nice.
And then it looks like you just give your love and your rival influence over you, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So Mr. Bear and Osteo can both mark influence on you. All right. And Frack.
Yes. So my relationships with the others. There is somebody I like to blow off steam with. I thought of Mr. Bear because I can do these little constructs which can move voluntarily, care for them, and Mr. Bear has his toys which can move. And I thought, like, as the teenagers we are, we could go and send them on the run and do racing games.
I took the toys out. I have super senses now because I didn't want to step on your thing.
Okay.
So I don't do that. Sorry.
It's not anymore in there. Super senses you have you, but I think we can still do video games together, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah. And my constructs can play when I'm on the toilet. That's good.
Yeah.
And I still win.
It's very hard to play Dance Revolution when you're an 8-foot cyber bear.
You have to use the biggest of the Xbox controllers to do things. I understand.
It's a tough one, yeah. And then there's somebody who I heard when I lost control over my powers once, and I thought I could have heard Karma.
Oh, all right, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I mean, you have your stage stuff going on, and it's sometimes difficult for somebody with actual superpowers to differentiate with what is real and what is not.
And yes, and I think that actually makes a lot of sense because she was trained for the stage, but not for actual fighting. So she may have thought she could defend herself from anything that was coming by, and finding out that in the real world, everything moves a lot faster than it does in the camera. So
when I do my fractal explosions, they really hurt, unfortunately.
yes.
They go in all directions, and if your shield is actually out of papier-mâché, no, maybe it wasn't that bad, but it was like not helping enough. And do you still have scars from that, or is it all fine now? I'm a little bit worried.
I think what she managed to do is bleed very stoically and theatrically. So it's more like, though she has a little scar, she, how do you say, everyone who saw it remembers it. Does that make any sense? Because she's dressed in black and white, and then she bled very red, and it was like one of those things, and she tried not to react, but she was bleeding like a lot for a little while there.
Oh, yeah. So sorry. Yeah. I'm so worried that one of my splinters is still inside of you.
Oh, don't say that. Okay.
That would be really weird because, I also still respect people's integrity and don't side of them without asking. It's like, it's strange. So, hope so that there's nothing in it.
Me too. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a lockdown personality, and if I sometimes come out and ask somebody something, and I think we are close enough to reveal that, and then they turn me down, that hurts. So I give influence over me to Osti.
Okay.
Yeah. He refused to reveal his mask.
Dun dun dun.
I'm done.
Okay, Mr. Bear. We've established in the fiction as we've been talking along here that you guys came together during the sort of the 6 months that led up to this. So we imagine that 6 months ago this plague started, and probably within a few months, I mean, it would have slowly escalated, and a couple of months ago it would have been bad, and it would have been this. We're going to assume that this location has been built up and established over the course of, say, a month or so. In that period, in that sort of mid period, you guys actually first came together. What happened? What was going on that drew the four of you together?
Separate from the zombie apocalypse, or
Well, in the course of it, what was it putting down a riot? Was it fighting a Z super, or what?
I think what makes the most sense is that we were at a Danger Dolls TT23 show when the zombie apocalypse hit. So, we're in the arena, Mr. Bear's in the back cheering. So that was going on. And I think that in the middle of the show, I think a downed helicopter is a pretty classic thing. So a helicopter comes spiraling down and crashes into the stadium. And that was the kind of the first salvo of hell breaking loose, as it was.
So Halcyon City they'd been hearing about stuff on the coast, but Halcyon City had been a little, off the path. The reports were scattered.
The heroes would keep them safe.
Yeah, and a lot of them had gone out, and suddenly this copter comes down, and the first people on scene get bit, and suddenly there's the outbreak there. So let me ask you then, Osteo, who was the fifth member of your team at that moment who didn't make it?
Let's see. I think you want another, basically another powered super here.
Yeah.
Kidding. Okay.
It could be like a Robin style character. So he was like the unpowered leader with all the martial arts.
Gotcha. So yeah, could have been kind of like that. Yeah, I like that it would have been a leader. So it might have been. Oh geez, I can't come up with a name. Any help on this, guys? I'm digging the whole. Okay.
I put a name generator early up there, so
it's a good call.
Here, let's see. Steel Dagger, Wild Flame, Citadel, Smoke.
I kind of dig Steel Dagger. I think he was. I think that was like his weapon of choice as this martial artist leader of our kind of group. Yeah.
So young kid, maybe he was a protege to another hero. You guys got together. He took the lead. Led the team, and in that last moment of the fight, when it looked like you guys were winning, there's that chomp that he takes to the leg, and he drops. Okay, now we've got a superhero, Iron Lance. Okay, and Steel Dagger. So you were uncertain, the group was uncertain about one another at the start of that, Karma. What happened during that conflict and that fight that kind of brought you together, that got you on the same page in this chaos?
I think the thing is that when she saw things were going bad, and she, because that's her nature, is she rushed in. But then what happened was Seraph trailed in after her. And the thing with the team is they kind of all picked up on that she wasn't really a super, and they kept her safe from things. In fact, it's why Steel Dagger took a bite.
Okay. Garrett, you guys decided to keep in contact in the aftermath of that. How did you guys do that? How did you set up your system to connect with one another?
How we stayed in touch, or why?
Yeah. How and why?
How and why? So we stayed in touch because we saw this strange effect that the zombies are attracted by the obsidian fractals. So I got in touch with the others because I didn't want to inform the authorities. I'm afraid of them. And so I only trust these three fellows. And how we stayed in touch is, well, we pretend to be friends. And sometimes I think we are, but I'm not so sure with each of them because, yeah, all of us, we're different, and some more, some less. And I'm not sure if we will accept each other yet. It's currently it's because we're afraid of the outside world.
And so in the chaos of I mean, because it would have started from there, and things would have broken down rapidly. You were trying to keep in touch with one another, trying to maintain friendships, and protect people, but eventually things collapsed, leading to the group that you have, the location that you have, which is a like sports entertainment center that has been reinforced. Super beings have put, stacked cars, built walls around it. It's got coverings and things like that. There are generators on the inside. There is a total population of 1,451 people plus yourselves. And this has been going on for about a month and a half that they've been trying to get this set, to try and establish some order. There are some adult heroes who are on site, but they are occupied with their own business. They've told you guys that you need to stay put, that you need not to get into people's way, that you need to just lay low, that they will handle things. And then the normal people, they're terrified of you because it was a super being that started this plague. It is caused by super beings. And because people with superpowers can be turned into zombies, and truly terrifying zombies, that has gotten out. So there's a level of nervousness there. Mr. Bear, what is one really interesting feature about the compound that you guys have?
I think so. In terms of it being a sports entertainment complex, there's all kinds of possibilities there. And I think in this particular case, it's that as long as you're comfortable with food that has been flash frozen and then deep fried, we have that. So there's, chicken fingers and French fries galore. But so there's a kind of a constant oily smell from trying to keep people fine. But it's this kind of nastiness that's doesn't combine well with the smell of carnage from outside.
So yeah, so it's all sort of mall food court food and stadium food down in the giant freezers down below. They've got the generators that feed to those, so it is cold down there. But you guys haven't seen anything green or leafy in some time. Most things come in industrial size containers. So yeah, that's pretty horrible. I like that. Let me ask.
It's not good for your skin.
No, it's not.
Mine's already in trouble, so yeah, that's a problem.
Osteo, you interact with the sort of the regular people probably a little bit more than the rest of the group.
Sure.
You work at your mom's restaurant making the horrible hot dogs and corn dogs and such and nachos. How we've got a population of about 1,500 people. About how many of those are teenagers?
Oh, wow.
What do you think that number is?
I'm thinking somewhere around like 10-15%. I don't think it's, massive amount, but
Sure.
I think it's a good chunk.
Okay. So anywhere between 150, 200. So that's a decent size. And a lot of them, the older ones, are forced to pull duty, things like that. Among the teens, is there any fad or cliques or anything that's a striking thing about that teen community?
Let's see. So it's like this large sports complex, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, are we talking a stadium, or are we talking like a recreation place where there are like all sorts of different things like soccer fields and racquetball courts and gym stuff? What are we talking?
I picture it like a big, like there is a stadium portion and then there are sports things attached to it and like a micro mall. So it's a kind of spread across. So it's trying to do everything.
Okay. I think the teenagers may have taken over part of the field and use it as like kind of a communal meeting place, but they also have, for some reason, just because everything is gone, all of a sudden people want to do something that may have been familiar and to them in the past. And I think maybe they play some kind of weird amalgamation of like soccer and handball or something out there on this field.
Okay.
I think it's just something weird that they just kind of came up with over time, and it's this very cliquey thing where I mean, you don't go to it unless you're part of the group. You don't get to play. You don't get to be part of it, and yeah.
Okay, I like that it went sports because I was afraid when you said taking over the field it was going to go Lord of the Flies direction. No. So I appreciate that. Karma, your team has a spot. You've got a den or a little base or something. What is your group's hideaway, your group's location?
Well, they ran through the hotel space very quickly for the families and stuff like that. We actually ended up moving into our setup is kind of, we have the back room and actually the front room of a furniture showcase place in the mall is what we have. So we have this sort of strange thing of an office space in the back, and then all these chaise lounges and dining room sets and entertainment centers with no TV, just a cardboard cutout for the TV and things like that.
Is that a place that you guys were given, or is it a place that you said, hey, this looks good? Is it secret? Is it open?
I think that it started out that we got some space merely because the person who had the keys to it was a fan and a friend of Mr. Bear's, and kind of, that's that sort of thing of he kind of swung that deal maybe. And so it's like, it's all of us and the guy who has the keys for the place.
Okay. Guy who has keys. Okay, we'll come back to that. We'll probably have to establish who he is. at some point here. All right. And Frack, what kind of I mean, we know that people that they're going to have people with weapons, patrolling the outside. They have people that will armor up in whatever kind of vehicles they have to go out and scout for resources and things like that. But inside the facility, what kind of security or a system of guards or protections do they have established there?
The security system, like to keep zombies out.
Or, I mean, they obviously have to patrol inside to keep track of things. What kind of things do you imagine they have there? Are there militias? Are there just people, doing neighborhood watch? Is it more mechanized?
They have a spy system, so you never know, like belongs to the unofficial police. They are so afraid that people like who are greedy could circumvent security systems that they immediately install something like Secret Service and tap codes and everything. Well, and who's smart is avoiding any kind of technology which could be tapped. And yeah, and you never know if somebody draws out something's ID card and saying police here, you're arrested. So it's a paranoia state we are in.
So civil and police authorities have taken and established a heavy hand to try and maintain control.
Yes.
Okay. Are the supers, then the adult supers, are they involved with outside projects and they're ignoring this, or are they also fascists, or is there something else?
Well, they're so busy with their outside tasks that they just want operations go smoothly at the home.
Okay.
So you can, at least as a superhero fan, you can believe that they are just ignorant. But I think they are beyond already.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute bio break. And when we come back, I'm going to throw you in the soup, and then we'll get rolling here. Okay? Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Ta-da.
Dangerous bear.
I made him slightly less dangerous because everyone seemed to like him so much. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm lowering his danger back down to a 1, and I'll spend my 1 freebie on mundane because too many people like Mr. Bear for me to justify that.
Yes. So
It was that darn message board.
Yeah. He's too friendly on the message board.
You know he's got cream puff.
Okay. Karma. You guys are outside the walls. The 4 of you, out in the ruins. Outside. Why are you guys out here? Why are the 4 of you guys out here right now?
Let's see here. Because we heard from essentially from one of the people who's on the lookout is that there was a bus driving down the thing, but that essentially it got stopped over a ways, and we think that there's some survivors that were trying to get to the sports thing, but that are in some trouble.
So it's outside sort of what they consider the safety line. And the guard that saw it, when they pressed them, he was like, I think I saw a bus. So how did you guys get out quietly? Or did you get out with a big show? How did you guys leave the compound?
We use the service tunnels.
So there's some service tunnels that you guys know about. Probably one of them opens up by the furniture place, I assume.
Yep, it's where the
back in that end, yeah. And I imagine that end that you're by is kind of like one of those old abandoned malls. So it sort of looks like the mall from Dawn of the Dead, or from any of those videos about abandoned malls that you can see. So Osteo, you guys have come out here into the street. How well do you know this area, Osteo?
I think pretty well. I think before the collapse, I think I was in this general area. This is the mall that was in the area. I was kind of a loner, so I mean, I guess kind of walking around the mall and just hanging out there, and getting a corn dog. Were probably the things.
So you know the blocks around here. So you probably knew the bus routes and things. So now that you've come outside and kind of know the location you're heading to, it's not an area you know great, but you guys can make it. These sections are right around the compound are usually clear, though sometimes they get zombies that will wander up and get at the gates, and then they get packs of them, and then they have to try and clear them out. So Mr. Bear, when you 4 emerge out, what time is it?
Oh, all right. I'm going to say 4:15 p.m.
Okay, so it is afternoon. It's still daylight out, so you can see and be seen. Is Mr. Bear quiet?
He's not as loud as you would think.
Okay.
But at the same time, he's he's about as quiet as you would expect a bear to be, which means that there's a certain amount of rustling. There's not really so much in the way of thudding, even though he has mechanical parts. But if he steps on, say, a car, there's going to be a problem. And he's a big dude.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Frack. Downtown of a city, kind of busted out. The buildings are still standing. The burnout cars. It looks like, the set of a Resident Evil movie. And you guys are moving along. What are you doing as the group is moving along? How are you using your powers, or what are you doing that we see?
So I the cars are crashed and smashed together in a way which reminds me of the fractals. And somehow, like where I get my energy from, so this 1.4th dimension, this in between the dimensions, it's fractal. And so the cars, the way they are crashed together, that reminds me so strongly that I feel my crystals, my fractals growing into that direction. And I want to touch one of these cars because I feel like it's something it's beyond reality. Somebody has placed it. It feels like, but I have been often.
And so is that usually we see you kind of touching these strange things and drawing some of it out into yourself?
Yeah, I let my fractals flow into it, and you can see like this dark matter is growing over the cars and then removing itself again. And yeah, I look like meditating.
I have two questions. One of them I'm going to ask is, what do the other three of you think when you see that? And the other question is, in game terms, who is the leader?
Not Osteo, I'm sure.
Okay.
What I think when I see that happening with Freck is that things are about to go south. Like it's like the calm before the storm. My default is to treat Karma like the leader, unless Karma really doesn't want that position, because I'm a fanboy.
Huh. Well, she's the basis, so she's used to laying down the line, but I don't know if she's used to being the leader per se. But in the meantime, I think that she'll stop and she'll go, Freck, do you need something?
It's like something was here. Something has influenced this. Can you also sense it? What is it? It has a supernatural. Somebody was here. I can sense it.
And she goes, we need to find the people. Do you think this is related to that? She says it very quietly. You can tell that she's sort of parsing what he's saying as she's talking, trying to see what she's missed in the conversation.
I moan. Oh, I'm deep in this now. Come back to you later. Then, I can't talk anymore.
Okay.
Osteo, what's your take on this?
I think I might just kind of be standing back, kind of almost giggling, but not quite. I mean, just chuckling to myself a smidge. I don't really know what's going on. He does this kind of thing, I guess, occasionally. So I may be used to seeing it, but it's still not. Yeah, it's still a little funny to me.
And Karma?
I think she's doing the count to 5, So 5, 4, 3, 2. We have to go. We'll be heading towards the bus. She goes, it's over there somewhere. Rejoin us when you pull yourself together.
Yeah.
Mr. Bear's gonna go, dude, that's just straight up creepy. Just maybe just knock it off. Seriously.
Karma looks a little relieved, like she wasn't sure if she was taking that in wrong or not. So.
He's like, it's all right. I will use my superior cyber bear doohickeys.
Okay.
So yeah, Mr. Bear has a suite of things that he doesn't entirely know how to activate, but yes, little satellite dish will pop up and spin around.
Okay. So it sounds to me like you kind of want to assess the situation around here.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Does that seem like reasonable to go to that move?
Is that what Freck's doing, or is that what Bear's doing? I'm fine either way.
I think that's what Bear is doing. I think Freck was
Okay.
meditating there.
All right. Okay. So
Assessing
let's
a
pull it
different
up here.
dimension.
Yeah, assessing is not a thing I am great at, but I will roll with it, by God, because failing is fun.
Well, you have super senses. Do not forget that.
I do, but that's just the justification for the roll. I still have to roll with superior. And I am not great with superior. Hey, I got an 8, though. Sweet.
Hey, all right. So you do get to ask one of those questions.
All right, so let's have a look here. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Man, I wish I had more than one question. All right, so since we know we're looking for the bus, I'm going to go ahead and say what here is in the greatest danger, because that should give me some idea.
Yeah. You will actually, when you stop and you're listening, you're actually hearing in the distance, like a few blocks over, like somebody is trying to quietly do some mechanical repairs, but there's that clanging and that sort of vibration thing that echoes that it's
gonna
I mean,
call.
if it was already, it's going to call things.
Yep. So I will pass it on and say, there's some kind of clumsy mechanic over there raising a ruckus. We better get them out of here before zombies climb all over the place.
You're right, Mr. Bear. And essentially, we'll head towards wherever he points to.
Okay. So they'll take off. Osteo, are you flying or staying on the ground?
I'm staying with them at this point. I think it's only about at this point that I start to actually put on, kind of extrude the armor. So I'm starting to, as we're walking, that's what's starting to happen. Plate after plate is just kind of coming out of the different holes in my suit and kind of like forming over it, just kind of a continuous bodysuit there.
Nice. And let me, at Frack, they are going to move on. What do you do?
I'm not ready yet, but I follow them. Like a couple of minutes, I'm behind.
Okay. I don't think there's necessarily a roll there. You're not in immediate danger, so I don't think I need to have you roll. So you three will get up, and you will see this bus. It's like a half bus, and it's painted all kinds of colors, and it's got all kinds of like circus paintings and things on the outside of it. And it's actually been kind of reinforced, like someone has put like armor on the windows and things. And you will see this guy in this ragged clown outfit. It looks like he's got clown face tattooed on, but his sort of clown outfit is torn and muddied, and he's got the front plate of the bus up, and he's trying to repair it, and he's making a lot of noise. How do you want to approach this?
Excuse me, sir?
And he jumps and turns around, and he's got the tools that he was using, but he also has a gun, and he will point it at you.
I would like to point out that I am speaking, so the chances of me being a zombie are very low.
You could be a super zombie. They talk. They have brains. They talk in their heads with the brains. And you've got that.
We
Yeah.
are not zombies. We wanted to tell you that there's a safe place over at the sports center. We can guide you there. Do you have others with you?
Yes, the others, the vehicle is stuck. I cannot get it. We ran out. I thought maybe I could get it to go a little further, but it cannot. And there was a pack that was following us, and I can tell. And the group of you can hear in the distance that rumbling, that moaning that tells you that there's walkers approaching. And he'll say, there are a couple more, and we have the doctor is in there and he is injured and we need to get him to safety.
Can you put the truck in neutral or the bus in neutral?
I can
And
try,
steer?
but I can try, but it's jammed. Do you want me to do that?
She says, what is jammed? She kind of looks at Dr. Bear.
Doctor, I have not got my doctor yet. Mr. Bear's like, I say we just pick it up and run.
I agree.
All right, get in the bus.
Okay. So, Osteo, you will see this clown will run into the bus. He kind of bangs on the door, clearly talks to somebody, gets let in, they shut it, and you hear this scraping of gears as he tries to get it into neutral, and you can see that there are a bunch of zombies coming this way. They are moving here. So what do you want to do, Osteo?
Yeah, let's see. So they're coming, and we still haven't got this thing moving yet. He's still jockeying it.
They're moving over to try and lift it.
Okay.
But these things are coming.
I think that I might. I think that I'm going to basically trying to erect in front of them. Like, is there a little choke point, where they're coming through? Is it like between a couple of buildings, or is it anything like that?
Oh yeah, that sounds like a good thing.
Okay, I'm thinking, yeah. Then I'm thinking my first move. Okay.
Okay, so you do that. So that seems like a defend, doesn't it? Like you're going to try and put a blockade there.
Bingo. Yeah. Bone wall. Just kind of start growing it out. Looks like.
Okay. Let's have you roll with Savior.
Savior. Alrighty. Bonus penalty. Ooh.
Well, the good news is you get to mark experience.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. And that is a quote. Yes, quoting from Rich. And so you will bring that down and block out that pack of zombies. But when you do that, you will hear a and you will see a figure drop out of the air nearby. And he looks like this guy. Kind of drops down, stumbles. It's clearly a super zombie, not in great shape. But he's kind of dropped down nearby and he is there. So let me come to the two strong people, see what you're doing, and then I'm going to check back with Freck. Okay? Okay. What do you two want to do?
My basic plan was to pick up the bus and run like hell. Probably roll unstoppable to do that.
Okay. So this is a pretty big bus. It's armored. You have super strength, right?
Yep.
Unstoppable. And what's the move that you?
Unstoppable is my transform move. When you smash your way through scenery to get to or away from something, roll plus danger. Okay. In that case, I'm going to say we're not going to roll unleash your powers for lifting. Let's just assume in the fiction that happens. What does that look like? Well, it depends in part on whether or not Karma is helping me to get it started. Like in my mind, Karma puts it up on Mr. Bear's back, and Mr. Bear is like just galumping So there's a whole lot of pounding pavement, and as things are in the way, you just bust right through them. So if there's cars, they're gone, and if it's a bent over lamppost, it crunches beneath them.
Okay, so let's have you roll your danger, and then we're going to check in with Karma, and then we're going to check with Frack.
Okay.
Well, the good news is no. Stop. There we go. And of course.
Okay.
However, if Karma wanted to help, I'm so very close. So, oh wait, we didn't do the team pool.
Yes, actually, good thing. Let's start and do the team pool. We'll work this out. So right now, you guys have entered into a battle. We definitely have a dangerous foe on the table. So we're going to add 2 to the team pool. Okay. Karma, do you have influence on each one of the other 3?
I do.
Then you get another team to your team pool. You have 3.
It's a good thing. I'm sorry. Okay.
Would you say that everyone has the same purpose in the fight?
Almost.
I'm not gonna add that because we just don't know what the situation is. Yeah. I don't think anyone mistrusts you. I am gonna say you're probably a little bit off balance. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes.
So let's say 2 team in the team pool. Now, do you want to attempt to aid Mr. Bear?
I do indeed wish to aid Mr. Bear.
Then roll I think it's is it mundane for that, right? Or does he just say that she's spending it?
I think you just spend from the team. I think that's the only aid mechanic that there is.
Yeah, that's right. There's comfort and support, but that increases the team pool. So
Yep.
do you spend team from the team pool?
Yes.
Okay. So you will do that. And Mr. Bear, what happens in the 7-9?
So on a 7 and 9, I get to choose one, mark a condition, leave something behind, or take something with you. I think in this case, I'm going to go ahead and mark a condition.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to feel a little guilty because I am flat out getting away with this bus full of people, but I am leaving my team behind for the moment, and that is not a great feeling.
No. And you're running back along the path that you came. You realize, of course, now you're going to have to run up to one of the gates and explain the situation. And this is going to, and hopefully there aren't a bunch of zombies out there and get shot, or maybe you could leap over. There's all kinds of craziness. But Freck, as you're moving up to join that situation, you see Mr. Bear come running at you with a giant multicolored carnival bus.
Yes, and I see my friends up there in danger. And I'm still in the mood for extra dimensional traveling. So I want to burn my energy out of my body to move through the dimensions up straight in the direction of the super zombie. And if I want to do that, I need to burn the roll plus conditions.
Okay.
Yes. And I don't have any conditions. The thing is, I get a lot of them if I miss. So I roll flat d6. A 7.
So that's a 7. What happens on a 7 with that move?
On a 7, I mark 1 condition, and I get 3 hold, 3 burn, which I can use on flares, and I want to use 1 immediately, which is move.
Okay.
I can move to any place within the scene. I transform myself into obsidian fractals. Going through the cars, broken cars and shattered glass is exactly what I need, and appear in the center of attention.
Okay. So you will pop up there. Karma, I think I kind of skipped over you. You aided him with the team pool. So let me check in with you, and then I'm going to come back and check with Osteo. You see that. Have you seen Fractal do this before?
I have, but I didn't realize that he had to power up before. I think that's her kind of realizing that's what he was doing back there. And she goes, okay. And she'll sort of come up so that he's appeared. And so she sort of takes a position like right behind him, right behind his shoulder, so that she's just right behind him to follow up on whatever he does.
Okay.
So essentially, I'm delaying until he makes a move.
Okay. Then let's move to Osteo. Osteo, you've blocked those zombies, but this howler, this super zombie, has dropped down nearby you. What do you want to do?
I think I first kind of I was feeling pretty confident about the zombies. I had this little choke point, just put up a little bone wall, not that big of a deal. All of a sudden, the Z Super's here, and I think I kind of that's me, my moment of losing a bit of confidence. I think I stumbled back, and I'm like, Z Super, and I think I'm almost kind of frozen there for a moment. It's
okay.
Unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, you swim back. I mean, you've probably never been this close to one,
Right.
And I think I am going to have you roll to take a powerful blow.
Okay. Let's see. And that is rolling.
Conditions marked, which is 0 right now.
Right. Okay. Rolling conditions. Let's see.
And after that, I think I also have to tell Osteo something about himself.
So that's a 5. So you stand strong. You get to mark potential, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that was good. So you kind of pull yourself together as this thing looks at you, and it's clearly trying to pull in air to do some kind of sonic attack.
Yeah.
So Mr. Bear, is it okay if we describe you continuing on with the thing? So you are running full tilt, and you come past the little hidey hole. Do you want to try and stop and maybe evac these people through the tunnel that you guys came up, or do you want to just speed get them to the wall and try to get them over, or something else?
I'd actually rather get them to one of the patrolled gates and let the people that are there deal with them. I don't really want to show anyone else our hidey hole, truthfully. So I want to get them to a gate and then let the guards deal with them.
So I think that's you kind of smashing through physical objects. There are going to be zombies by this gate. What do you think? Do we think we need to roll for that? Like take a powerful blow for you to get through them? Or do you want to, how do you want to handle that? What do you think is appropriate?
Depends on how they're by the gate. I mean, his first impulse,
there's a mass of them there. Yeah.
His first impulse would be to actually, since he's already got ahead of steam, to leap over them.
Okay.
So
that's using your super strength and lifting and doing a super jump over the walls.
Yep.
That seems kind of crazy pushing your powers to me.
I like crazy pushing my powers.
So let's roll to unleash your powers. Roll freak.
All right. So, 10.
So perfect. You will describe to me what that looks like. I mean, there are guards up on the gate top. There are some defenses and things. They see this multicolored bus come flying down the way, and then suddenly, what do they see?
So the bus is kind of bouncing up and down, and what they're going to see is running towards where the zombies are, and actually starts bounding on top of cars, and changes so he's not really running on all fours anymore, but he's actually on 2, and then kind of scrunches up and pounds up, almost like he's going to spike the football when he lands. And he's tempted, but it's actually the bus. So when he actually lands, and the bus actually cracks and bends a little bit over his shoulder.
Okay.
And then
you land.
He puts it down, and he's like, touchdown!
And guards are coming up on you because this is moving so fast they don't know what's going on. And we'll cut back away from that to Freck. you're there. You said you were behind Osteo and you wanted to do something.
I want to nod into Osteo's direction because the way he has taken that blow was quite impressive. I think he's really superior using my influence I have over him.
Okay. So essentially, if you were doing an action to interact with him, you could get a bonus on that. Are you trying to comfort or support him?
I was thinking of using when someone with influence over you tells you who you are and how the world works. Accept what they say or reject the influence. Accept what they say, adjust your labels accordingly.
Okay. Does that seem reasonable to you? It's under the influence and the peripheral moves. What do you think, Osteo? Does that feel like like he's pushing your superior? Does that seem reasonable?
I think it is, because I think the reason I took that blow so well is a little bit of quick thinking. As soon as I realized it was a sonic attack, I think it was I actually the three little bones, the ossicles in your ear that transmit sound. I think I fused those together with my my bone powers momentarily, so I'm like actually momentarily deaf, making his sonic power doesn't do anything, at least to my hearing, which is good. So it's a good thing he nodded instead of saying something to me, because I was actually able to see it, not hear.
Yeah. So let's say I think that you can push your superior up by 1, which is what he suggested. And I think the appropriate to move down is to move your mundane down 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Karma, you've been holding. You'll see Osteo get a boost. What do you want to do? Muted.
So how is Howler? Is he like still facing Osteo?
Yeah, it looks like you guys are going to have to deal with him because he is going to unleash that sonic cry here. It looks like he's has to power up for that because there are holes in his throat. So.
All right, then. I would prefer to use something that's a barrier between him and I when I attack him. So I will rip the door off of a car that is nearby and essentially run past him and hit him with that door.
Okay. So you were moving up and you were directly engaging a threat.
Yes.
So go ahead and roll danger.
As soon as I find my character sheet on this, my gosh.
Tab, tab, tab.
I know,
Jesse,
tab.
Jesse,
So many
did
tabs.
you define what your mask flips for your Janus? Because you haven't done that. I'm just curious.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Well, since you're playing the Janus, normally you have the ability to exchange your mundane with a different label.
Right.
When you put on your mask.
Yeah,
so
once per session, yeah.
Yes, but you're supposed to. Yeah. All right, you have it as savior.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a nice one.
So a 14, which I think is a substantial hit.
So yeah, kapow. So you will land that blow on him, and you get to pick 2 from the direct engage a threat.
Okay, let's see if I can find directly engage a threat. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'll eventually get all the right windows open. I apologize. Oh, here we go.
All the windows.
I create an opportunity for my allies.
Okay.
And I resist or avoid any other blows. So she's like essentially positioned behind him with the door between her and him, even after she smacked him. So even if he howls, he should have a hard time or strikes out at her.
Perfect. So you kind of jump up, you hit him with that door, even as he's kind of focused on Osteo, and kind of knock him. Osteo, what do? Frack's gone up, giving you the high sign. You're awesome.
Totally. I think I see him charging up to give us another one of those bellows, you know, but I think that I am able to run up to him pretty quickly at this point because Karma's got him held. I think I extend my hand and some bone like shoots out of the hand into his mouth, not necessarily like to like hurt him, but like to basically create like almost like a a bone ball gag that has like a strip around the back, but also takes up the majority of his mouth.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to say that's unleash your powers.
Okay. All right. And
okay.
that is.
And if you succeed, you will essentially limit, the harm that he can do to you.
Gotcha. All right. So that's rolling. That's save. No, wait. I'm sorry. Which is that?
That is freak.
That is freak. Ooh, I'm bad at freak. That's good. Let's see what happens. Hey.
What do we get?
10.
Holy cow, it's a full hit. So yeah, you hit him with that, and he's already, rotted, and so you completely jam up his sonic powers. Now you're just having to deal with a zombie that's tougher than normal, but he's not going to be able to let loose with a shriek that would have deafened you and brought every zombie in the zone coming this way.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, Frack, I'm going to check in with you, and then I'm going to zoom back and see what's up with Mr. Bear. So, Frack, what do you want to do?
There is still a good amount of zombies coming in our direction. Right?
Yeah, they're kind of blocked off by that choke point. They're slowly starting to move to try and get past it, but right now they're held by the bone thing that Osteo put up.
Yeah, that's really good, because I would like to move right between all of them and then explode everything else out of me. So I use my last 2 burns, which I have. One is to move directly to them.
Okay.
Into that bag. And the other one is, it's called Reality Storm. You channel a destructive burst with your powers, and I can then use freak instead of danger or engage a threat.
Awesome. Go ahead and roll.
And I will also do a lot of collateral damage, unfortunately. What is around won't have that opportunity that often. I roll. There is freak, where I have a +2. Don't know if that worked, because I have the window. No, it doesn't, because I'm in a separate window. Don't roll, right? No. I roll on the table.
Okay, as you wish.
9 + 2 is 11.
Okay. So you will middle of them, and you can choose 2 from the directly engage a threat on this zombie horde.
I definitely want to resist or avoid their blows.
Good call.
I heard that's bad. And I want to impress them.
Okay.
They weigh.
So that is the equivalent of them being disrupted, them being thrown back by the shattering there, that they go flying. I will say that you will impact, because you do cause unwanted collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
That some of these fractals will hit one of these zombies and kind of go into them, and you've never hit a zombie with this many of your pieces before, and you'll see it start to change.
Was time to learn about that.
Like it's twisting and becoming something different. Mr. Bear, back at camp.
Oh, hi.
They're like, what's going on? What's going on? What's in the bus? What's in the bus?
And you're like, just chill. Everybody chill. Look, it's just some people that we rescued. There's some kind of doctor in there.
Did you check it out? Did you confirm there's zombies? Did you check it out and confirm there's zombies?
Look, I was running from a zombie horde. We were in a hurry. And I'm too big to fit in the door. Come on, guys.
So they do look irritated because you've violated like all of the control and safety protocols. And so they're getting guards around this. They're training guns on this. They're probably paying a little bit less attention to you. What do you want to do?
I think, Mr. Bear is the wrong person for this situation, but nevertheless, he's trying to calm things down. He's like, calm down. We'll just cover us and we'll pull people out. We can check on things.
All right. So, Mr. Bear, you can probably help get that door open.
Yeah, just
okay.
Peel it open.
And they are there, and they're getting people out, and they will start bringing people out, and you will see them hauling out Dr. Dreammaker.
No.
on a stretcher, injured. They're doing the checks on zombies, and it looks like they are that he is alive, and that his assistants have brought him here, and they are starting to move out into the rest of the camp.
Yeah, I think I'm the hard. That one's a super villain. He ruined my life.
And you will hear the behind you, and you will see that Stormline, one of the adult supers, has landed.
Okay.
He's come down. He's a potent weather control hero. He lands, and he will say, "Get that man to quarantine. Get everyone here under isolation. He's a valuable technician. Make sure he's under lock and key. We can use his resources."
Mr. Bear will be like, "Are you kidding me? He's a monster."
Everyone looks at you when you say that. I'm going to cut from you back to the group. You've got Howler on the ropes there. The zombie horde has been dealt with. What do you want to do now there, Karma?
I would like to overwhelm a vulnerable foe. Since we've got him knocked down, he's pretty much just a zombie. I would like to put him into a merciful state of dead.
That would be awesome if you were an adult and had that move.
Okay, I would like to...
I know, Rich did that to me too. Yeah, Lowell, you could do that if you were an adult.
Okay, then what are my options?
So you could...
can I pick him up and throw him so far away? Can I throw him?
Yeah, it's a directly engaging. I mean, if you want to move him out of the area, try and do that.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that we're rolling with unleash your powers, like you're trying to throw him, or do you actually want to, do directly engage a threat, like we're actually kind of hitting him and doing damage to him?
I really don't want to mess with him. I want him to get him away from my team so that we can go back.
Roll freak.
Okay. Not my best roll, but
you've got Osteo there. You've got one team in the team pool.
I know. I've got Freck is behind the wall, so we want to get over there in case he needs help. Okay, here we go. I'm going to roll this thing when I find it. I'm so sorry, guys. It's like hide and seek with all the windows this requires. Is it here? Oh, there it is. I saw it for a moment. Okay. Freak. Okay, that's not the worst, but I got to find the little window where I tell it I don't have a situational bonus. I got an 8. Oh.
Okay. So you will throw him away, like up, like into one of these buildings, and he will smash through into that floor. But you guys need to get out of here soon, or he's going to be back.
All right. Okay. Then essentially I go, Freck, can you come back?
I will, but you should see this. This is interesting.
I sort of
Freck,
look
we
at
don't have time for
Osteo.
this.
with big wide eyes.
Quick, we got to get out now. Time to go.
Maybe you have influence over me. True.
So they're telling you need to go.
Yes, I heard that, but it's yeah, I'm running.
So he has influence over. Do you want to try and reject that and stay here with the zombie horde?
Well, that sounds such a fantastic idea. Stay with the zombie horde and see what they observe. What is actually happening to that one zombie? Then I would do that. Yes, just 5 more seconds.
Just for a second? Okay, so there's 2 parts to this. One is you rolling to reject their influence.
Yes. And there is 7 plus nothing, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus nothing.
7.
So you have to choose one of those things. Clear condition or mark potential by acting to prove them wrong. Shift a label up and 1 label down, or cancel their influence and take +1 forward on them, against them.
Yes, I want to get rid of the influence she has over me.
Okay, so
Cancel the influence.
your influence is canceled. Osteo, it looks like you guys are moving and he is staying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys will begin to take off. Frack, I'm going to need you to take a powerful blow.
Yes. That's a 10.
That's a 10.
Plus 1.
Okay.
11. It's plus condition, right?
Yep. So why don't you look at the take a terrible blow list and tell me what you do.
All right. I lose control over my powers in a terrible way. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so they begin to hit you and grab at you, and this thing smashes you. And describe to me how your powers go haywire.
Well, I turn into tiny fractals. Like I'm exploding, and you see this showering obsidian fractals everywhere now, hitting lots of zombies. And
yes.
All my consciousness is like spread over all these zombies, and I can feel their pain and their hunger and everything. I feel it inside of me, and I need to absorb that moment.
And they are mutating. You're getting more of these.
I try to move away. Need to pull myself together again. Away, let's go.
So you can remove yourself from the situation because you didn't take anything to kind of knock yourself out. So do you want to try and flee?
I try to flee, yes. I try to burn.
You want to try and roll your burn here?
Yes. And
okay.
I can use
roll conditions
to get away. And that's unfortunately that suits the situation very well. That's 6, including already the 1 condition I have, which
okay.
3 conditions more.
Okay.
2 burn, and I use one of them to move away.
Okay. So what are the conditions you're marking?
I already had marked angry.
Okay.
And now I'm also very afraid and hopeless. And I also feel a little bit guilty.
Yeah. Because you realize that you're leaving behind a pack of these mutated zombies.
Yes.
Even as you teleport to where they are. Let's cut back to Mr. Bear. You will see Stormline looks at you and he will say, "What were you doing outside?"
Saving lives. And villains, apparently.
Where are the others?
That's a good question. I should go get them.
No. You will stay here. He gives you an order.
I think that Mr. Bear is disinclined to acquiesce to that request.
Okay.
And so he's like, no, I'll be right back. And then tries to bound off.
Okay. Roll to reject his influence.
Yeah. That's a flat roll, right?
Yep.
All right.
Look at that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So you can clear a condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong, shift the label, or cancel their influence and take +1 forward against them. I think I know maybe what you're doing. What are you going to do?
Well, I have a condition that I could stand to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. Or you can mark potential.
Yeah, or I could mark potential, which I kind of need. Yep. I'm gonna go ahead, mark potential, and be like, no, I got this, and bound away.
Okay, so super leap over the wall again.
Yep.
Okay. So I think the visual of this is you super leaping out and seeing. We do the camera zoom in, as it does the rough ready, and we see Osteo and Karma. Osteo, are you doing a different kind of movement now?
Yeah, I think I'm down on all fours. I think I've got like a tail out, like a bone tail out for balance, and I've kind of got that like cheetah-ish form, just odd shaped limbs. I still look like a weird bone thing, but yeah.
Have they seen you do this before?
I don't know if they've seen me need to move this fast, so
Okay.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
So, Karma, what's your take on that?
He is a very strange set of special effects. He reminded me of the Japanese horror films, except that I have not seen this one.
Okay. So, Mr. Bear, you will see them bounding and approaching, and Frack, when you appear there, because you're teleporting over here. How do you look?
Like splintered. It's you can still see that I'm a human being. It's still legs and arms, but I'm shattered, and like there are thorns reaching out of my body and me too. And then I stumble in that direction and collapse. And I immediately give influence back to Karma because she was the right should have gone.
Okay.
And as soon as he appears, she will pick him up, gather him up, and get him moving back. I mean, we're getting back towards there.
Okay. And he's sharp-edged, so you're not
Yes.
going to take a condition, but, cinematically, you're probably cutting yourself.
I'm very good at this now. I'm getting better at it all the time.
Indeed, yes.
And you guys can get back to where Mr. Bear is at. Mr. Bear, they come running up. You meet them. And what do you tell them?
Guys, I think we're going to get in trouble. Also, also, some of the people on the bus were villains, including that guy who made me a bear.
And I think that is the perfect note to stop on for this session. With the
Guys, we're going to get in trouble.
yes. Okay, because I want to go through it. Let's definitely go through the end of session moves here. The end of session, choose one. Each of you can either grow closer to the team, grow into your image of yourself, or grow away from the team. Let's start with, I'm really curious. Frack, what do you think?
I'm still very embarrassed, and I think I grew away from the team because of what I have done, maybe to all the survivors.
Okay.
Area.
So
I
who do
grew
you
away from
take?
them.
who do you take influence away from?
I only have influence over one person, that is Osteo. That is
No,
going away.
Osteo would lose influence over you, I think.
Ah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, they would lose influence over you.
You take. I see. Yeah, I want to get rid of that influence.
Osteo, is that cool?
That's fine.
Okay. So then, Osteo, do you think you grew closer to the team, grew into your own image of yourself, or grew away from the team?
See, I think it's kind of interesting because he pulled away from me there, but I actually feel like I kind of grew closer to the team with Freck's acknowledgement that, like, hey, you actually stood up to that, like Sonic Blast from this guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I think that I might be giving influence to Freck.
Yeah, so Freck, you get another influence over Osteo.
Yeah.
And then you can clear a condition or mark potential.
And I have no conditions currently, so I'm going to mark potential.
That makes sense. Mr. Bear.
hey there.
What did you
I'm
do?
I'm going to say I grew closer to the team.
Yeah.
Because, it was pretty kick butt. Going to say that the influence would actually go to Karma, but Karma already has influence over me, so that means Karma gets to shift my labels.
Oh, that's right.
And I do have guilty marked, but I actually want to keep that mark because I want to play with having left them all behind a little, and also we're going to get in trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and take the potential instead.
So Karma, how do you want to shift her labels? And then I'm going to check in with Frack because I've forgotten about that.
It's just shift my labels. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to shift his labels. My labels are...
Yep. Yeah, how do you going to shift his labels? Sorry.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Gosh, that is a good question. Because I think his danger is going to have to go up. No, his savior is going to have to go up because essentially he took care of those people right away and without anything, and he used all of his power for it. So I think it's probably going to shift down on his freak a little bit. Even though he used his freak powers like crazy to do it, I think that it's just moving that way.
Perfect. And then, Frack, how do you want to move Osteo's labels?
I want to put Superior one up and Mundane one further down.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I want to be on an equal level in terms of Mundane.
Nice.
Maybe then we can become friends.
Yes.
And then finally, Karma, what about you? What did you grow closer to the team, into your image of yourself, or grow away from the team?
Wow. See, and I don't know what all of these do. So I'm going to say at this moment she grew closer into the team because like things sort of worked, even though it was like really fraught and everything, and she doesn't understand what's going on. She's like, okay, we got some part of this right. So I think it's going well.
Who made you feel welcome?
Well, Bear.
Okay.
But yes.
Yes.
It would
Mr.
be
Bear,
Mr.
did you
Bear.
already have influence over her?
That is the only person I have influence over, actually. So
you get to shift labels.
all right. So let's have a look here. I think what we're going to roll with there is I'm super impressed by your ability as a leader, whether or not it's justified. Because like we came in, you took command of the situation. It was amazing. So we're going to up your superior by one.
Okay.
But and you were so tactful there that clearly your reputation as an insane hothead is overrated. So we're going to lower your danger by one.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's where we are with that.
Okay.
Okay.
And you can clear a condition or mark potential.
Oh, I'll mark potential.
Okay. All right. And that is where we're going to wrap. We'll start at that point with the yelling at The worst possible thing is that you're going to be yelled at next time. We're going to start out with that and maybe some project stuff. Next session, we will try to stop about 15 minutes early so we have time to do Roses and Thorns, because I usually do that in a 2-shot at the end of the second session. So if you have any things you want to definitely mention, make sure you make a note of that. Whatever. Does that seem cool with everybody?
It's great.
All right. Then I'm going to stop the recording here.
All right.
Awesome.